Good morning. My name is Mary Wallman-Crowe, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am the chair of the Committee on Ministry, which is a committee that promotes the spiritual health of our congregation by helping us live out our mission statement and shared ministries. I want to welcome you to our Sunday morning worship service here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading. This morning, the Committee on Ministry has a special worship service planned for you, led by our guest minister, the Reverend Erica Barron. Reverend Erica is our congregational consultant from the Unitarian Universalist Association, and she has been working extensively with our congregation over the past 2 years as we navigate various ministerial transitions. Reverend Erica will also be leading a 1-hour workshop immediately following the service today, entitled From Reactivity to Resilience, In this workshop, we are going to learn concrete tools for moving ourselves and others through moments of stress and towards resilience and relationship. It's going to be amazing, and I hope you will all stay for it. Childcare and snacks will be provided. Because we're having this workshop immediately following the worship, we're not going to do our usual receiving line or fellowship hour, so you're welcome to greet Reverend Erica after the workshop if you'd like. Later in the service, we will collect our offering, and as is our spiritual tradition, we share half of each week's offering with a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. Our Share the Plate recipient for the Sundays in January is the Hamilton Garrett Music and Art Academy. There is growing movement in churches across the country to find ways to make reparations for using music composed by enslaved African people because they were never compensated for their art. No royalties have ever been paid for a number of the spirituals and hymns we sing during our service. So as a small first step towards acknowledging this injustice, we have chosen Hamilton Garrett Music and Art Academy in Roxbury as our Share the Plate recipient for January. It provides high-quality formal music education to the children and youth of Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. Please give generously to our Share the Plate offering to help fund scholarships at Hamilton Garrett Music and Art Academy and to support the mission of UUCR. And now I just want to say, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whoever you love, whatever your faith tradition, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, I would like to extend a special welcome to you. And if you haven't already, please check out our website, uureading.org, for more information about this community. On behalf of everyone involved in today's worship, I want to thank you for being with us this morning, whether physically or virtually. We believe that you belong here, maybe just for the next hour, but we hope for longer. You belong here, and we give thanks that you're joining us today.
Good morning. I started this job right before the pandemic, and so it is so wonderful to be able to be in person with you all again. So yes, I'm Erica Barron. I use she, her pronouns, and our opening words this morning are by Ellen Rocket. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other.
Each week, along with Unitarian Universalists from around the world, we light our chalice to remind us of our shared commitment to truth, love, and justice. As the rest of the Committee on Ministry, Michelle Catalano, Andy First, Kevin Keeling, and Beth Murray, come forward to light our chalice, I invite you to join me in reciting our chalice lighting words that can be found in your order of service. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. Each week, we also recite our children's affirmation as a reminder of the most important elements of who we are. Please join me in reciting these words. We are Unitarian Universalists, the Church of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands.
Our opening hymn is number 389, which is in the gray hymnal. This is called Gathered Here, and we're going to sing it as a round. So we're going to sing it all together, and then people on this side, you're going to follow me. People on this side, you're going to follow Kevin. We're going to sing it for a while and just watch me for when we're done. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
Spirit, draw near.
We're good. All right. Good morning, everyone. So now is the time in our service when I invite forward any children, youth, or anyone else who would like to come forward for our time for all ages. And even if you're in the pews, you're going to participate a little bit. I hate to break it to you. Good morning. Hi. Hello. Hi, Gavin. Hi, Jen. Hi, Astrid. Hi, Jonah. Hi. Welcome. Hi. Hello, hello. All right. So we talk about feelings a lot here at church, don't we? We talk about feelings, we think about feelings, but today we're going to try to feel our feelings in our bodies. So first we're going to stand up. Can you all stand up for me? Great. And we're going to shake everything out first just to get all of our sillies out. So we're going to shake our whole body. Shake one arm, shake your other arm, shake your leg, shake your other leg. Grown-ups can do this too. Shake your head, shake your hands, shake as hard as you can, and stop. And then we're going to take a deep breath in, long breath out. And if it's okay, you can close your eyes, or you can just look at the floor. And I want you to imagine that you feel really sad. What does sadness feel like in your body? It feels like you're sad, but what does that feel like?
It feels like lonely.
Lonely. To me, it feels kind of dark and heavy. What is anyone else want to call out some words that it feels like in your body?
Unhappy.
Yeah, it can be unhappy. It could feel like it's raining inside. So it feels different to all of us, but there might be some similarities. Yeah.
Disappointed.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to shake that out. All right, everybody shake again. Shake one arm, shake the other arm, shake your leg, shake your other leg, shake your shoulders, shake your head and your hands, and stop. And take a deep breath in and a long breath out. And now imagine that your body feels very angry. What does it feel like inside your body when you're angry? It feels kind of sharp and hot to me, or tight, like it's hard to take a deep breath. What was that, Gavin?
Like red, maybe?
Yeah, it feels like red. Yeah.
Like you want to yell and scream.
Like you want to yell and scream. Yeah, that's good.
Like you're going loud and scream.
It feels like you want to scream. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Anything else? Anger. What does anger feel like? Yeah. All right, let's shake that out. Let's not be angry anymore. So we're going to shake one arm and then shake the other arm. Shake your whole body and your head and your hands. And stop. Take a deep breath in. Long breath out. And close your eyes. And now imagine that you're really happy. What does happiness feel like?
Excited.
Excited?
Jumping around.
It feels like little jumping feelings in your body. It feels like a smile. Yeah? What other sensations does it feel? To me, it feels kind of warm like the sun. when you're happy inside your body? Like you're sleeping, you're very peaceful, yeah? All right, let's shake that out one more time. Last time, shake everything, shake your arms, shake your legs, shake your head. Shake as hard as you can for one more second. Come on, you can do it, and stop. One last breath in. Long breath out. So that was a great job, everyone. There's two things I want you to remember. One is that often we think feelings are in our head or in our hearts, but really our whole body is feeling our feelings all the time. And sometimes we just need to stop and pay attention. And the second thing is that did you notice when you shake or when you stomp your feet or sometimes if you sing or yell or go for a hike, that changes the way that you feel and you can move through your feelings. Thank you so much for helping me with this. So you're going to go to your classrooms this way today, out, and you're going to go into Loring House with Liz and Theo. All right, and we're going to sing you on your way. Thank you, everyone.
To new learning, may your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love as your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace.
We take time during our service to light our candles of community, peace, and justice. We light our red candle of community to signify our interconnection. Wherever you are in time and space, newcomer or long-term member, here in the sanctuary or joining us virtually, we light this candle holding you in love. And as we light this candle, I invite you to speak aloud the names or names of people who are on your mind and heart today to bring them fully into this space. Grandpa. And we light our blue candle of peace for all the places worldwide where people live with the threat of war and violence. And we light our yellow candle of justice. May all people everywhere live their lives in freedom, and may we each do our part in the work for justice and liberation for all in our global community. As we recommit ourselves to the work of love and justice, may we each voice this commitment by saying Amen.
As we enter into this time of prayer, I invite you to feel your body. Specifically, I invite you to notice where and how gravity is holding you. So that might be the pew that you are sitting on, or you might be in a chair or a couch at home. You might notice the floor beneath your feet. If focusing on your body in this way is distressing for you, allow your attention to drift to something more calming and peaceful. But if this body awareness is okay for you, then take another moment to notice that gravity is holding you. The earth is holding you. The earth is holding all of us, and we are always held in this way. We might think of this as Earth's promise to never let us go. So let's rest for a moment in that surety that the gravity of our planet has held us and will hold us always. Amen. If you have a joy or sorrow on your heart, you may come forward to light a candle in silence.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Catalano, and my pronouns are she and her. And together we will do our first reading. It's a responsive reading, and if you could share the first word, which hopefully is bold in your order of service, and then I will read the intention. So together we say, welcome. We warmly welcome all. Connect. We nurture connections with people of all ages and backgrounds. We generously share our time, talents, and resources to build our spiritual community. Communicate. We communicate directly with honesty, care, and respect, and listen with attention, patience, and an open mind. We support one another through our diverse spiritual journeys in times of joy and struggle. We embrace our differing perspectives, beliefs, and cultures. Forgive. We forgive ourselves and each other when we fall short of these commitments and begin again with goodwill, presuming the best intentions.
We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I am alone and I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced at the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. Imperfection, it be my crime. In humility I will listen. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. On this journey through thoughts and feelings, binding intuition, my head, my heart, I am gathering the tools together. I'm preparing to do my part. All of those who have come before me band together and be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. When we get there, we'll discover all of the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since life's beginning, and we never noticed they were there. We can balance at the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live together. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side.
Our second reading is an excerpt from the diary of Anne Frank. How lovely to think that no one need wait a moment. We can start now, start slowly, changing the world. How lovely that everyone, great and small, can make a contribution toward introducing justice straight away. And you can always, always give something, even if it's only kindness.
I had a friend in seminary who used to say that she was going to start a denomination of one because wherever two or more are gathered, there is conflict. And she was only half joking. Her observation is right, of course. Any two people who are in relationship long enough and meaningfully enough will at some point disagree about something they both care about. And yet, here we all are. We have chosen the way of engagement and relationship. And I believe that almost all people come into relationship and community wanting to be good to each other. We want to be kind to each other. We want to treat each other with compassion. We want to communicate with honesty, care, and respect. And we want to listen to each other with attention, patience, and an open mind. And of course, we also want everyone else to treat us with that same kindness, respect, patience, and attention. In Unitarian Universalist congregations, we often put these aspirations for ourselves and each other into the form of a covenant, as you have. The covenant says how we want to be together, how we want to treat each other. It's an expression of that desire to be good to each other, to do well by each other. When we create covenants in times of closeness and ease, the intentions they name may seem obvious, and the commitment to those intentions feels simple and natural. And then we come to the inevitable conflicts. We disagree about something we care about. We cannot both have the outcome we seek, or at least we believe that to be true. And whoa, suddenly those simple natural intentions are hard. A few years ago, my team at the region did a year-long study of covenant in congregations. We invited teams from congregations who were working on covenant in some form to get together with us every couple of months and talk about it. So we had teams from 6 congregations, and we learned a lot from those conversations. I hope they did too. We started to notice something about the way Unitarian Universalists thought about the relationship between covenant and conflict. Specifically, we noticed an assumption so foundational that it is revealed in storytelling, but never actually said directly. So, this is the assumption, that we can either be in covenant or in conflict, but we cannot do both at the same time. In other words, that when there is conflict in a congregation, that is a sign that the covenant has already been broken. And that we know we have re-entered covenant when the conflict goes away, either by resolution, or honestly more often by just ignoring it and making it go away. We also heard a phrase used over and over for what happens when the congregation enters conflict, especially heated conflict, which is, we fell out of covenant. We found this really interesting, that we could fall out of covenant. It's really interesting. So, those intentions in the covenant now begin to feel not just hard, but maybe actually impossible. So, what's going on here? When we find ourselves in disagreement about something we really care about, and know that the situation may not end in whatever we think is the right thing, that situation feels threatening, and not just to our minds. In fact, our minds take a back seat at this point in these situations, and our body's nervous systems take over. Something happens around you that your body interprets as a threat, and your body then responds in one of 4 ways. So the first one is flight, which is the instinct to run away. The second one is fight, which is the instinct to overcome and neutralize the threat, or to make what you want to have happen by force. The third is to freeze, the instinct to shut down and get very small, so the threat will pass without noticing you. And the fourth one is called fawn, which is only called that because it needed to be an F to go with the other 3. So it's also called appease, but this is basically an attempt to get on the good side of the threatening member of your own community so that they won't hurt you. It really only works for social animals, right? But we are incredibly social animals, so we have this reaction too. The key point here is that these are not rational reactions. This is not your brain thinking this through. They are not voluntary. They just happen in our bodies. And they are happening before we have even noticed that they're happening. And when our nervous systems come online in this way, our bodies prioritize survival over everything else. So if your body's going to prioritize survival, take all of its energy towards getting through the situation, it's got to take it from somewhere, which means other things get shut down or get a lot less energy. So those are the reasoning and language centers of our brains. Basically, go offline. I mean, you can still talk when you're in this, but you don't have access to your whole vocabulary or all the tools you've learned to communicate and all that stuff. So the energy can go to fighting or running or just completely shutting down. So situations of conflict are not the only thing in congregational life that can feel threatening to our nervous systems. Maybe someone speaks to you in a tone that mimics someone earlier in your life who made you feel small and inadequate. Now your body remembers that feeling and prepares to protect you. Or perhaps you encounter religious language that reminds you of experiences in previous religious communities where similar language was part of a theological system that was deeply harmful to you. So your body prepares to protect you from that threat. When our nervous systems activate to protect us from a threat, it becomes really easy to interpret the people around us as the threat, right? Especially those who disagree with us or who remind us from some harm from our past. And this is how, I think, it ends up feeling like the covenant has already been broken just by the presence of conflict before anything else has happened. We must have broken the covenant, even if we can't really put our finger on how that happened. And the more extreme version of this reaction is to assume that someone else has already broken the covenant because I feel threatened, right? So now, when we believe ourselves to be already out of covenant and a conflict is ongoing, what happens? Well, I've seen a few different possibilities here. Some groups know that when there is struggle, we can go back to the covenant and perhaps reimagine or reinterpret it. So one possibility is that someone will call the group back to the covenant or ask for a rework of the covenant. And if they do that while still in that heightened state, this often looks and feels like trying to use the covenant as a tool to control the behavior of others. You all need to get back into this covenant. And it can get pretty legalistic and unhelpful. So I kind of feel like this is one version of the fight response in action. Like, you all, get with me on this covenant. And those who agree to do that process maybe doing the appeasing thing, right? Okay, well, we'll go back to the covenant, don't hurt me. Another possibility is that understanding the covenant to be already broken, we decide it is not in effect anymore, and we are free to act however we want. And I see this especially when people believe that the presence of conflict must mean that someone else has already broken the covenant. And it becomes sort of, well, they broke it first thing. And this is a more intense version of the fight response. Or we might collectively decide to return to covenant by making the conflict go away. And this is how I used to respond. I would just give up on the substance of the conflict in order to get back to something that felt like peace or safety or accord. And this can either be a version of the flight response or the freeze response, like just shut down, do whatever. You all do whatever. I'm going to go over here. Now, the thing is, of course, that none of those things actually help us work through the conflict in a potentially transforming way. By trying to make the conflict go away as quickly as possible, either by winning, by controlling others, by disappearing from the conversation, we lose the capacity to learn from the substance of the disagreement. We lose the potential creativity that might lie in discovering that the mutually exclusive wants and needs or convictions are not actually as mutually exclusive as we thought they were. We miss the chance to clarify our values together or to choose them in a time when that is hard. There is so much richness we lose by cutting off the possibility of walking into and encountering conflict covenantally. So there are two things necessary for engaging conflict in a covenantal way. The first is, before we can do anything else, we have to tend to that nervous system response. Because until we do, we're in it. Until we have moved it through our bodies, it's there. And how we do that is going to be the subject of the workshop later today, so stick around for that. But the second thing we need is practice in working through a conflict while also holding on to our values and our commitments at the same time. I talk about covenant a lot. My wife asked me last night how many times I had preached on covenant. I was like, ever? Or since I was a regional staff person, and she's like, ever. So I did the math, and I think it's around 50 sermons on covenant that I've given. And usually when I preach or speak about covenant, someone in the congregation will say, I know you're not talking about marriage, but, and then talk about something they learned about covenantal practice from their marriage or another long-term commitment. And I usually respond, well, I'm not talking about marriage, because I have learned much of what I know about practicing covenant from my relationship with my spouse, both before and since we actually got married. In fact, there is so much here that I think it's worth looking at directly, because this is not just me. I think many of us learn the skills and hone the practice of covenant in long-term personal relationships. We can then bring that learning into the larger covenanted communities we belong to, such as a congregation. And those personal relationships where we can learn this stuff, we're not talking only about marriage, right? Long-term friendships can teach us how to be good partners in covenant, relationships between parents and children, either as the parent or the child, romantic relationships, those that actually are marriages, those that are not marriages, all of that are places we can practice covenant. So, in my marriage, there are days and weeks, months even, when keeping my covenant with my wife is easy. It takes no thought to be grounded in my promises to her when there are no particular stresses on our life, when we are mostly engaged in activities and conversations centered on the places where we agree and where our preferences align, where we do not experience tension in our ideas about how to live our shared values. Those are lovely times, and I am deeply grateful for them, but they are not the times that teach me how to live in covenant. I'm not even usually aware of our covenant when it's going well. I'm just aware of my love for my partner and my joy in the awareness of her presence. And I hope that you experience times like this in your own relationships, times of easy joy and deep alignment. But I am more aware of our covenant in other times, the times of tension, stress, and conflict. So my marriage has included a lot of these since 2020. I'm guessing a lot of ours have, especially the 4 months where we were both trying to work full-time and take care of our kid full-time in the house and never leaving it. That was a time when covenant became really important. These are the times when the covenant matters, when the fact that I have chosen to make commitments to this person changes what I decide to do moment to moment. I don't know about you, but I was never taught how to fight well. I mean, not really, right? As a kid, I was taught how not to fight, right? Hitting, biting, kicking, not okay. And neither is being mean with my words or using my words to be deliberately cruel. Okay, so don't do those things. Beyond that, I think the only skill I was deliberately taught for actively managing conflict before I was an adult was compromise, right? And in other words, I get some of what I want and you get some of what you want, and we try and make things fair, often in a pretty mathematical way. So for example, when I was a kid, if there was one piece of cake that my sister and I had to divide, one of us got to cut it and then the other one got to choose the first piece. And my sister used to make this take like 5 or 6 tries, right? She would cut it, and if I wanted the same piece that she wanted, she would cut it again because she would decide that obviously one was bigger than the other, and this would go on, and basically until I was like, I don't care, just give me the cake. The conflicts that I have faced as an adult have mostly been too complicated for the simplistic tool of mathematical compromise to solve. And some of my childhood conflicts were more complicated than this too, if I'm honest. That nervous system response to conflict often translates into certain tools that people use to try to navigate conflict. And you might recognize some of these as tools you've learned to use yourself or have had used on you, or both. So one tool is continued reliance on mathematical compromise, and this tends to make every conflict, sometimes even every interaction in every relationship, an entry in some imagined ledger of debt and surplus. And conflicts are solved by asserting debt and exacting payment, or less often, by admitting indebtedness and offering concession. Another tool is the logical argument. So conflicts in the logical argument are won by asserting that the emotional needs of the other parties to the conflict are insignificant, or failing to notice them altogether, and by hiding one's own emotional needs behind the veil of reasoned argument, again, usually by not noticing them. And there are so many others. There's emotional manipulation, which usually works by making the other person feel guilty until they give in to your wants. There's remaking the rules, where every interaction has rules that favor you. And as I mentioned, for most of my life, my favorite tool for conflict was withdrawal, allowing the other to win this conflict by getting what they want, and then letting that person get what they want in every conflict until the day I decide it's not worth it anymore, and then I end the relationship. This is how I did it for a very long time. And then I met Rachel, the woman who would become my wife, and I had finally come to the end of my willingness to just give in to everything. And I didn't want to withdraw from a relationship with Rachel. I became committed to her, to my connection with her, to building a life with her, and to a real, equal partnership between the two of us. And that meant we had to learn to go through conflict within the context of our commitment to each other. And we didn't do this very well at the beginning. Early in our relationship, I left a job, she left a job, I was ordained, we moved in together, we both moved to a new state, and I started 2 new jobs, all in the space of 2 weeks. Now, imagine what that does to one's nervous system, right? So, conflicts got really intense there for a while. I know that I used the tactic of saying whatever will be the strongest argument to get my way early in the relationship. I probably used the logical argument tactic too, and there were some truly absurd fights that were about small, mundane things which covered far deeper fears and insecurities for both of us. And yet, we still wanted to be together, so we had to learn to do better. And gradually, with the help of a couples counselor, we did. For me, The key thing I learned in engaging conflict in my primary relationship was how to bring my most important values and commitments into the conflict. I value fairness, and that means that I have to apply the same standards equally in a conflict. I can't change the rules of engagement whenever it suits me. I value honesty. That means I need to acknowledge when my partner says something true that is hard to hear. And it means I have to admit it when I'm wrong. I value equality. That means I can't get my way all the time, but also I can't give way all the time. Most of all, though, I value this person, my partner, and because I love her, I want the way we go through conflict to move us toward each other at the end of the day, rather than pushing us apart. And to do that, I need to be transparent, to show her what is really going on for me. Practicing my covenant, my commitment to my wife over the course of years, has made it easier to stop before I say something just to win, and decide to say the more vulnerable, truer thing instead. It has made it easier to stop when she says something true that I hadn't considered and didn't want to hear, to take it in and let it change my mind. And it has made it easier to be as kind as possible, even when we are in conflict. But let's just be clear, I don't do any of that perfectly. Author T. Thorne Coyle says that practice makes possible. And I love this reframing so much, because we are never perfect, but it is true that the more we practice something, the more possible it becomes. Like practicing an instrument with dedication will widen your range or increase your accuracy or allow greater subtlety and expression. Practicing engaging in conflict fairly, honestly, and lovingly has made deeper relationship possible. I used to think of covenant as a thing, especially covenants in congregations, right? There's the thing called the covenant. But lately, I have come to think of it more as a practice, and I think this is a really helpful shift. It's not something we have, it's something we do. Covenant as a practice feels much less fragile than covenant as a thing, at least to me. So when I used to imagine covenant as a thing, in my mind's eye, it kind of looked like a very delicate glass bowl, like really beautiful and functional. You can hold water in it, right? It's good, it's useful, until the moment it inevitably breaks because it's made of glass and it's super fragile, right? And then it's shattered beyond repair. Covenant as a practice feels more like maintaining my house, right? So there is always a to-do list. That to-do list is never going away. Small things break or need attention pretty much all the time, but the structure is sound, and the more I work to fix the small things, the more I learn about how to take care of the structure. And, importantly, I know when there is a big thing that I should not attempt, that I should get the expert to come and help me with. But through all of that, the house stands. It's still there, it's still holding us, still keeping us warm. Just needs attention and care. 20th century Unitarian theologian James Luther Adams famously said that church is a place where you get to practice what it means to be human. So personal relationships are one place where we can practice covenant, and congregations are another. When there is conflict or a hard conversation in a congregation, that is the time to slow down and practice covenant. The slowing down part helps us move through the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response and calm our bodies back down. Then we can practice keeping our values and promises in the center as we move through the discussion of whatever needs our attention. And likely, in a system as complex as a congregation, we're going to have to go back and forth between those things, right? So we get calm, and then we talk, and we get all activated again, and then we stop, and we get calm, and we talk, and we do that as long as we need to. The key part of your congregational covenant is to practice in times of struggle, disagreement, or hard choices. And for you, this the thing that's really important to practice is the communication part of your covenant, right? So communicate. We communicate directly with honesty, care, and respect, and listen with attention, patience, and an open mind. Practice speaking honestly and with care and respect at the same time, which is sometimes hard to do, right? We're going to be honest, but also respectful. Practice listening with patience and an open mind, really listening, not preparing your counter argument, really listening. Practice remembering that everyone in the congregation matters. Practice treating people with kindness even when you are disagreeing about something really important. Practice will not make any of us perfect at keeping our commitments to each other, but practice will make it possible to keep them more often and more deeply. May it be so.
Our congregation exists and thrives through the gifts of those who call this place their spiritual home. If you are here with us in the sanctuary, you may put your gift in the collection plate as it goes by. Otherwise, you may make a gift online or send a check. Please give as generously as you are willing and able to our Share the Plate offering to support Hamilton Garrett Music and Art Academy and the mission of UUCR. If this is your first time with us, your presence is gift enough. Thank you.
In a many-colored garden, we are growing side by side. We will rise all together, we will rise. With the sun and rain upon us, not a row shall be denied. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. In our many-colored fabrics made from strands of common thread, we will rise all together, we will rise. We can feed our grain to cattle, and the rich man will be fed. We will rise all together, we will rise. Or we'll feed our grain to people so that millions will have bread. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. Will there be hunger in these strands of common thread? We will rise all together, we will rise. In the cold of fear and hatred, clothed in dignity we stand. We will rise all together, we will rise. We have pierced this quilt together, linking hearts with stitching hands. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. We are spirits drawn together tightly by our common threads. We will rise all together, we will rise. From our children to our elders, from all nations we will rise. We will rise all together, we will rise. May respect for all our differences enhance our common ties. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will build a global family strengthened by our common threads. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise all together, we will rise.
Thank you for the beautiful music today. I'm Melissa Martin, your Member Services and Volunteer Coordinator and your interim Congregational Administrator. My pronouns are she and her. I wish to thank Reverend Erica for being with us this morning and for our Committee on Ministry for their important work and for the invitation they gave. I would like to thank Ann Garrett for today's beautiful chancel flowers. She was given them in honor of the many January birthdays in her family. Thank you to today's volunteers, Nancy, Suzanne, Jeremy, Al, Sophia, all those who make this possible. And thank you to our friends online. There are several dozen folks with us online this morning. Before I share this week's opportunities in our congregational life, I wish to highlight that the Side with Love 30 Days of Love campaign began this week. And in our weekly update from Thursday, you'll see links for the first week with resources focusing on the intersections between the spiritual theme of interdependence and Side with Love's work on democracy, voting rights, and electoral justice. There you'll find a reflection, a blessing, a time for all ages, a body practice, a prayer, and a grounding practice, all connected to these themes. We hope you'll take a look at them and let us know what you think. For this week at UUCR, our Buddhist meditation group meets tomorrow evening in person or via Zoom. On Tuesday evening, you can drop in to Zoom for our social crafty fun time from 7 to 9 p.m. On Wednesday, you're invited to join Conversations with Nancy at 1 p.m. online. Our lay leaders are reminded that tomorrow is our deadline for our February newsletter that will go out this Thursday. And Wednesday evening, lay leaders are invited to join our program council meeting via Zoom. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. For today, please join the Committee on Ministry and Reverend Erica immediately after this service for our one-hour workshop about moving through stress and towards resilience and relationship. The workshop will be held in Fellowship Hall and via Zoom. And if you're joining us virtually, you can use our social hour Zoom link. The workshop will start at 11:15, so we will not be having our traditional receiving line after worship. If you'd like to connect with Reverend Erica, she'll be available after the workshop. Childcare and snacks will be provided. Thank you for being a vital part of our congregational life. Now please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
As Reverend Erica extinguishes our chalice, please join in our chalice extinguishing words found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As we go forth, may we remember our aspirations and commitments. May we practice bringing love and service to all we meet. May we feel the truth that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. So may it be.